Welcome to TJbletop. I am your humble bard, TJ, here to tell you another story from the dice table. This one is not about my normal D&D campaign. In fact, this one is not D&D at all. For this one, we're going to go to Pathfinder, and an online game I played for a short while, where I played a completely different character that we haven't discussed yet here in this video series. Now, this one does not have too many great grand stories, but I love the concept of the character. So I want to tell you what kind of character they were and the kind of things that they would pull off that would mean that someday they would be just a legendary type of D&D character. So let me tell you about Remor. Remor was a half-elf rogue, and I know what you're thinking, because I'm wearing a Critical Role shirt right now. No, this was not like your typical stabby rogue. This isn't a Vaxel Dan. I didn't want to do that. I didn't want to play a typical rogue. In the same way that I was inspired to go against character type and against character dress code, as it was in Dungeons & Dragons for Mirari, I didn't want to do that in Pathfinder either. So instead, I came up with a rogue of a whole different type. I started looking at all the different things a rogue could do and started to figure out how it would apply to a different type of profession other than thieving and killing. And it came to me that if I patterned it right, I could make a rogue that was closer to Lara Croft than your standard rogue. A dungeon explorer, an adventurer, because a lot of those skills, stealth and acrobatics and all this, kind of play to those character archetypes as well. So he's something of an archaeologist type. And I gave him one of those backstories like I did with Mirari, where the DM could just fill in whatever he wanted. I said, well, he was kind of abandoned by, his mom was an elf, but his father took him in because half-elves are not respected or wanted in that culture. So he raised him, but then took off because he was chasing after a city that vanished. And that was, eventually became Remor's quest, to venture out into the world and find the vanished city. And maybe find out what happened to his father in the meantime. Didn't really care about his dad. Didn't have daddy issues or anything. Didn't really give a crap about him. He just wanted to one-up him. He just wanted to show that, well, you got lost trying to find this vanished city. I'll find it. How about that? I'll one-up you, old man. That was the kind of character I was going for. A little bit of a charlatan. So one of the details I had for his characterization was I wanted to make sure he had that archaeologist look to him, a little bit mystical because he is a little bit of an elf, so interesting kind of aesthetic mix. But the big thing to him was he wore this super intricate monocle. He wore it over, I think he wore it over the left eye, and it's gold and jewel encrusted, and there's little glyphs carved into it, and it chains over to his cuff earring, and there's little glyphs carved into that. And his uncovered eye is just your standard brown, but underneath the monocle it is vibrant ice blue. He gets jobs identifying items and going through and recovering artifacts because people believe that he's got this magical eye that gives him this advantage in these things. It's natural heterochromia. He's scamming people. That's the kind of thing I was going with for Remor. And that was fun. I think that's a cool character design. He gets lumped into this little kind of, I think it was a stock campaign for Pathfinder, where it's find the MacGuffin. Go here, get the fragment, go to the next place to get the next fragment, and so on. Never got far enough to really complete it or figure out what the whole thing was about, but enough to get a few interesting adventures in. And the thing that I loved, the one trick that I managed to pull off, that I loved this trick. So we end up on an island where the big thing to the island is this little blood feud going on between a race of troglodytes, lizard people, and bognars, if I'm pronouncing that right. Frog people. I'm just gonna... I can never remember boggards or boggards. I can never remember exactly what they're called. Boggard, I think. I'm just gonna go with frog people, because that's all that matters. Frog people, lizard people. So the battle of the amphibians versus the reptilians is going on. But the frog people have an advantage because troops coming through the island actually gave them better weaponry. So now they have the big advantage against the troglodytes. Now, when we come to the troglodytes, they have control of a cave that we need to cross through to get to where we need to go. So the only way to get through is, let's go whole slaughter fest. We'll go murder hobo on everybody. My character isn't like that, not your typical rogue. So I start like, wait. Let's actually try a little bit of diplomacy here. Troglodytes are chaotic, evil devil worshippers. The DM did not expect me to try to parlay. But parlay I do, and I actually do. I roll so high because my character is a talker. I roll so high that the DM decides, well, they've been praying to their demon gods for an answer for their war against the frog people, and you've come. They think you are their holy saviors. Perfect. Okay. So they want us to go end this war, and they want us to go kill the village and kill the village leader. Well, we're probably supposed to be taking them out anyway, so yeah. If you give us access to the cave, we'll deal with your frog problem. Alright, so we head off to the frog village, catch them unawares, and that's a bit of a bloodbath, but you know what? It goes well for us. No TPK, no one dies, and we are set. And they had something we needed as well, so this is probably just going to be inevitable that we were just going to have to kill off both of them. But I was hoping to avoid that. I was hoping to avoid as many conflicts as possible. But it was kind of decided. They are chaotic evil. We have a paladin with us, and they're sworn to kill everything that's chaotic evil. Okay, I guess we're going murder hoboing. How about it? Well, let's just kill everything on the island because Pathfinder! Alright. But let's do it a little bit differently. How about this? I tell the paladin to cut the head off the leader because we're going to have to take back proof that we actually did this job. And then I ask the DM, because if I work together with our alchemist, how many bombs can we fit inside the frog's head? About 4, at least 4. Alright, can I rig like a dead man switch so that when I let go of it, it goes off on a timer? Okay, roll me a number. That's high enough. Yeah, you can set that up. Sweet! I've got an explosive frog head now. Okay, so we work together. We load apparently this big frog mouth with all the bombs we can stuff into it. We head back to the troglodytes' cave. They're in the middle of sacrificing their own people to the demon gods for some kind of salvation. They're like, okay, we should have picked up on the fact that these were like absolutely evil guys that we should not have dealt with. But you know what? Hey, this is gonna be fun. So we go up, their main leader, there's this big mutant crocodile, and all the main soldiers are gathered around. They're around this big bloody altar, and like, okay, it's dealt with. Here is the head of your sworn enemy. I give it to you as a gift from your god. Roll persuasion. 24. He takes it from me. He starts monologuing to it, and Remor is slowly backing off, and just as he gets out of range of the bomb, the DM says, "Time's up." Oh, you almost got caught in that. And then I get to roll the damage, which is like It's ridiculous. It's like 9, like, considering, like, we're level, like, 3, and the roll, I think, was, like, 9d6 plus 15, which for level 3 is absolutely absurd. The blast kills the troglodyte leader immediately. He is reduced to chunky salsa, and everyone around him is just splattered against the wall. 2/3 of the forces were taken out by the blast alone. We are just playing cleanup to finish off all of them and completely finish this whole encounter. It's one of the more ridiculous stunts I've ever attempted in D&D, or any role-playing game now that I think about it. And consider this was Pathfinder, not D&D. It's getting late. Hard to keep up. But it was such a crazy idea at the time. And this is why the title of the video is The Holy Head Grenade. It's what I call it since then, because, hey, if the shoe fits, if the bomb fits. That campaign ended way too abruptly. I had never played Pathfinder before. I was enjoying it to get my role-playing itch in, and I really think Remor had the chance to do a lot of crazy chaos like that. Make deals with people he shouldn't be able to, but he's rolling so high, you just kind of have to as the DM. Getting away with stunts like that, where he never really did much as a physical fighter. A couple of, like, some good sneak attack damage here and there, but for the most part, he wasn't designed to be a fighter. He was designed to do clever stuff, and this was really clever. And it's one of the more fun stories I get to talk about, because how often do you get to say, I wiped out a race of chaotic, evil creatures with an exploding frog head? That's role-playing for you, ladies and gentlemen. D&D or Pathfinder, it gets crazy sometimes. I keep Remor in my back pocket. Maybe someday I will get into a D&D campaign who doesn't have a rogue, so I actually get to play as him again. But I don't have any more stories because that has not happened yet. But there's still more stories to tell, and more D&D to talk in general. So thank you for joining me for this story. Hopefully, whatever story comes next, I will see you there when I talk about it. Until then.